All right, everybody, welcome into the Hideout. I'm the Spazman coming at you live on Outlaw Radio. And joining me, he's going to be in the house on Thursday, May 16th, tomorrow, when High Limit 410 Sprint Cars invade Outlaw Speedway for the very first time. He drives the 1A 410 Sprint Car. Hey, everybody, he's from Pennsylvania. It's Jacob Allen. Jake, thanks for joining me here on Outlaw Radio, bro.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Spazman. Appreciate it.
All right, so I understand you're home in Pennsylvania getting ready to take the trip up here to Outlaw. Now, you've never been to Outlaw, according to my research. How long do you figure it's going to take you to get here?
It says like 4 hours on the old GPS, so I'm going 4 hours. But, yeah, I never raced that Outlaw, first-timer.
All right, first-timer. Hey, that's all good to me, you know. So let me, I asked you beforehand, a little pregame, and you told me you just got back from the gym. What kind of, do you do any kind of specific lifting or workout or exercise with being a sprint car driver in mind?
Honestly, no. Like, I just do it, for my well-being. It makes me feel good, Like, I've been doing a lot of driving across the country, and, you're kind of sitting in you're always like, if you're driving the truck, you're in the sitting position. Driving the race car, you're in your sitting position. And like, I just like to get to the gym and get moving around, and lifting weights, like, it makes me feel good, like not get too sore, or, it just makes me feel good. When you're grinding, out on the road, like we do racing, but really I just go there, and like, I go to the YMCA, and they got like a sauna and a pool, and I always go there and play hoops if I can with all the guys from around town. So I just kind of like use it as like kind of like a country club, and make myself feel good, really.
I like that, Jake. There's nothing wrong with making yourself feel good. No doubt about that. So you mentioned the pickup basketball, and anybody who's anybody, unless you've been living under a rock, saw your Fruit Loops video. And in that video, yeah, we're going to talk about it, Jake. And you had mentioned that you're going to go play some pickup basketball. Now, I got two specific questions I want to ask you about that video. One,
okay,
how did you not hook Fruit Loops as a sponsor coming out of that video? And and who won the pickup basketball game?
Oh, man, I don't know, man. I could use Fruit Loops as a sponsor for sure. I think that'd be a good one, Put Toucan Sam right in the middle of the wing, and I could use some Fruit Loop sponsorship money for sure. But pickup basketball, man, that just goes wherever, man. We just play and play and play. You could win 5 games, you could win no games, Like, it's just like a good group of guys from around town that are consistently in there playing, kind of throughout the week. So it's kind of fun for me because I've always played basketball, since I was a little kid growing up, and kept it going, since as I get older. And I like it because it's something I enjoy doing, but none of those guys know anything about racing, and they're just in there to play basketball. So they're like a different group of friends that I got, and I enjoy that.
Now, does that help your mental state to be able to get away from racing? Because we're going to talk about the grind a little bit. You mentioned it earlier. We'll talk about it. We'll get to it. Does that help you at all, your mental state, to be able to get away from the racing for just a little bit and go hang out with dudes that you're not going to, rap constantly about racing, and that's what it's all about? I mean, how does that help you mentally, Jake?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love racing, and like, I love talking racing. It's like the bigger percentage of my life, but it also feels really good, to not talk about it, and do something, else, like go play basketball and just hang out with some dudes. And yeah, I enjoy that part of it. I think it's good for my mental game, and it takes me away from it and kind of gives me a breath of fresh air. And when I come back, I feel like I can focus a little bit better, and yeah, I just really like that.
So let's get right into that. We hear about drivers, we hear about racers, team members that are kind of like, that's a little too much. The riggers are too much. It's constant, and you're always under pressure. How do you deal with that? How does Jacob Allen deal with being in a national touring series. What else do you do to get away from that? How do you deal with those rigors, Jake?
Well, I don't really worry about it. I feel like my whole life I've never really cared too much about like what other people have to say or what kind of, their thoughts, like either like I know the people that are out there doing it and like if they had opinions and like I don't know, I just seriously don't even worry about it, to be honest with you. Like I would focus on myself and my life and my team and my sponsors, and that's where I put my focus at. Like I'm not worried about, what other people have to say, if it's a negative thing, for sure. But if it's like a positive thing and like people are like, talking, good or whatever, then like I appreciate that. I appreciate people's like, support and like good, like giving me some like respect or whatever. So I like that. But if like people are like talking shit or whatever, I don't even know if they do or not. I don't pay any attention to that at all. I think it's kind of funny, if anything. So, yeah, that's just kind of how I roll.
All right, Jake, what I would like to know now is why high limit racing? Why did you choose high limit racing over the other options? Because everybody knows about the competition. Why did you choose? What was it about high limit racing that was attractive to you?
Yeah, I think something that sticks out for me is like there's freedom to it, like high limits, that, you don't have to, if you're getting, like the World Outlaws, they just been getting rained out and rained out and rained out. Well, like they have to ask permission to go race here or if they're allowed to go do this. And like that ain't it, like that ain't being an outlaw or anything, that ain't it. That's not how like, when my dad's considered original outlaw, he was allowed to go do what he wanted when he wanted, and he wasn't going to have to ask permission. So I think that stuff's for the birds. I think another thing, like outside of that, is like I've been on the outlaw tour for a long time, and I feel like you race the same tracks at the same time every year, and it's a lot of Friday and Saturday racing, and that gets to be tough after a while. It becomes very repetitive, and I'm on the road all the time, like I don't have I'm not fortunate enough where I have somebody like drive my motor home or like I can afford to fly home all the time. Like that's not the way I do it. So like the World of Outlaw tour seems to be a better thing for guys like David Gravel or Donnie Schatz or Carson Macedo who get to fly home all the time, and they get more days at home and less on the road, so they have a life at home. Like when I'm on the Outlaw tour and I'm getting rained out all the time and I'm sitting in some parking lot across the road, like I feel like I'm wasting my life. Like that ain't it. So I would rather like follow a series like High Limits who has the benefits of, tow money, a point fund, pit passes, good purses, and they also have breaks and options to, take a weekend off, but also, race. So to me, like where I was running in the World of Outlaw, like standings, I needed to race more. Like I'm not as David Gravel who can run 60 times a year and make, a ton of money. My performance just isn't that. So like for me, like I gotta hustle my racing so I can make, what I think is good money. And the Outlaw Tour limits that to guys. So, all that plays into factor, and that's why I'm here, doing the High Limit Tour.
So we're on Outlaw Radio. We're talking to Jacob Allen. He's a Pennsylvania guy, and he drives the 1A 410 sprint car for the High Limit Racing Series. It's going to be at Outlaw Speedway for the first time ever. They're going to invade Outlaw Speedway in Dundee tomorrow on May 16th for Thursday Night Thunder. $12,000 to win, $1,200 to start, and the Outlaw 900 horsepower modifieds will also be in action for $4,000 to win. Now, Jake, we had alluded to earlier, this is your first time ever at Outlaw. What is the mindset when you go into a new track, a track you haven't seen before? You had mentioned there's an excitement to it. Hey, this is new. This is fresh. It's a different office. I know I can't do a 9 to 5 grind because it's the same thing every time. What's the mindset headed into a new track like Outlaw for Thursday Night Thunder?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I feel like the New York tracks are fun. I like going up, upstate New York. It's beautiful up that way. I feel like the New York tracks are slick and smooth, so I feel like that fits my kind of style of racing. And, I just kind of go out there with you go to the track, you go with like a setup, you watch videos, all that stuff, and kind of just give like a good guess at like what you think's going to be the right setup and right move. And after that, you just wait till they call you up for hot laps, and you give it a couple good runs in hot laps and see how you feel, and you go from there. I don't spend too much time trying to be figure the world out, going to the race, a new track. I just kind of take it for what it is and do the best that I can. So, but either way, I'm really looking forward to coming up to New York. It's a fun place to race, and I feel like the fans are good, and just excited to get up there.
I'll tell you, we can't wait to have the 410s at Outlaw. They always put on a good show, and the 410ths of a mile, even though Chase Rodman called it a 3/8, I got to call you out, Chase. It's 410ths. Not that there's that much of a difference, but just to give you a quick elevator pitch, Jake, there's lots of room. The straightaways are long enough that you can make a move, but not too long where you have to worry too much about the gearing and the motor. And in the turns, they're semi-banked, and they give you plenty of room to get away from somebody if you have to. So, what are I wanted to ask you, Jake, at what point? Let's talk about Jake the Dude here real quick. Give me some backstory on how you got involved in racing, what your DNA is, and why sprint cars.
Well, I mean, my dad raced, his whole life. So, racing has just always been in like the conversations of my life, and I just have always been, around the talk and going to the racetrack and stuff. So when I was a little kid, my dad owned a go-kart track in Pennsylvania, and I would race there. And I think that kind of got, that all started. And I was a big fan of Joey Saldana as a kid. I lived next to him when I lived in Indiana until I was 16, and that's when I moved to Pennsylvania. And then I kind of just was like, told myself like I wanted to choose like racing as my path because like I was terrible in school. I was like kind of like a little punk that didn't want to do any schoolwork and, all that stuff. So like college was out the door for me. Like I wasn't going to college for sure. So I was like, I love racing. I love competing. I love sports. And, with my dad's knowledge and Logan, wanting to race, I just felt like that was going to be something that I could pursue. So I just told myself I was going to choose racing and never give up on it. So, I kind of started racing like sprint cars at 17, and at 19 I went on the World of Outlaw tour and just kept doing that, and that's just been my whole racing life really, is just the World of Outlaw tour. I mean, I could get like really down the fine details about like, oh, I raced this race one time in Pennsylvania and yada yada yada, but like I bet you I've ran Eldora Speedway more than I've ran Lincoln Speedway, and that's probably, Lincoln's 2 miles from where I live. So my whole racing career's been on the Outlaw tour, and it's definitely been a grind, but I wouldn't trade my experience on the World of Outlaw tour for the world, even though at the end of it I felt like it was for the birds and not something I really was into anymore. I wouldn't trade it, all that experience for the world. It's made me who I am, and I feel like I just credit a lot of who I am as, or where I've gotten to in my life and racing because of my journey on the Outlaw Tour as well.
So we're talking to Jacob Allen. He drives the 1A 410 sprint car with the High Limit Sprint Car Series, going to be at Outlaw Speedway for the first time for Thursday Night Thunder tomorrow on May 16th, and looking very, very forward to having High Limit in the house. Jake, one last question. I know. Well, let me ask you this: is the car in the box? Are you ready to go, or do you have something to do, or you ready to go? It's in the box, and you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and head up.
Well, the guys are probably working on, like, we're changing motors and stuff, today. Well, the guys are. I'm kind of taking a day to myself and just chilling at home. Like I said, go to the gym, all that stuff. But, they probably don't have too much, you know. We'll get some tires ready and change some bars around and change the motor. But, they'll have it loaded up by tonight and we'll leave first thing in the morning.
Awesome. So just one last question. When you're on the road and you're on the grind, what kind of tunes do you listen to, dude? What kind of music does Jake Allen listen to when he's going down the road? And do you have control of the radio, or does somebody else have the aux cord?
Well, my wife's been driving our personal car behind me, so I've been full in control of the music. Man, what? I've listened to anything and everything, man. Like, right now, Post Malone's got a new song with Morgan Wallen. I've been listening to that. I got all kinds of songs on my playlist, from hip hop to country to alternative. I listen to anything and everything. I'll listen to some podcasts. I just basically listen to Theo Vaughn, who's a comedian, his podcast, and maybe a little Joe Rogan, but I listen to anything, man, and I listen to it loud, and I like the music, the windows down, and yeah, I love music, man. I think it can put you in a good state of mind, and you know, kind of like if you're in the trailer and it's all quiet and everybody's just kind of working, and you turn on the radio or, like, you know, music, I feel like it gets everybody, you know, kind of, you know, in the mood and ready to go. So yeah, I'm a big music fan.
I dig it. I noticed you didn't mention any heavy metal. Are you a headbanger at all?
I don't know if I listen to heavy metal. That one might be out of there. Like, I got a pretty good Led Zeppelin song that jams pretty good. I kind of like feel good music. I don't listen to, like, I have some, like, music that's a little bit harder, I guess, like I got some, like, Puddle of Mud and like Saliva and POD and some of that stuff, but I have so many playlists that it goes all over the place, man. Like, I just got music everywhere on my phone.
Now Zeb Wise is the DJ for tomorrow night's show, for Thursday Night Thunder. Have you been the DJ yet?
I have, but, like, so when they have the DJ thing, they give us this, like, little Excel sheet, and I feel like I just, like, add songs and take away songs, because, like, I just don't, like, you know, in the wintertime, I might be listening to different music because it's kind of like, you know, it's cold out, it's, you know, it's wintertime, and then summertime, like, I feel like my taste changes. Music is not, like, for me, it's not one thing. Like, I'm very fluid when it comes to music. So, like, my playlist that I put out in the beginning could be, you know, a whole new playlist in July kind of thing.
I got that. I get that 100%. As a music professional at times, I've been forced to listen to some music that I otherwise may not be inclined to, you know, to check out. And you never know until you try it. You know what I'm saying? Jake, on the way out, bro, give me your elevator pitch to all the fans out there listening on the official Outlaw Speedway Facebook page, on our social media, on Outlaw Radio. Give us an elevator pitch to get them out and get their butts in the seats tomorrow for Thursday Night Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, you got to come see, you know, the sprint cars. High Limit's got great competition, great race car drivers, cool group of guys. Always a good show, no matter where it's at or what track it's at. So, if you got nothing going on, make sure you come check us out, come meet the drivers, and just enjoy the show. You know, there's probably not too much going on a Thursday, so you might as well get to the racetrack and check out High Limit Racing.